In December 2023, Alex Albon, one of a series of Red Bull drivers who found the second seat to Max Verstappen too difficult to handle, attempted to describe the feeling of manoeuvring a car to the design that the four-time world champion prefers. If you bump up the sensitivity on a computer game, completely turn it to the max, and move the mouse, and it's just darting across the screen everywhere. That's kind of how it feels. It becomes so sharp that it makes you feel a bit tense. Albon said, "Why did nobody listen?" Fast forward just over a year, and the latest incumbent of the Red Bull second seat, Liam Lawson, looks like a shell of the excited young man who is ready to embark on the season only 2 weeks ago. The 23-year-old is yet to score a point and is thoroughly miserable. Chinese Grand Prix qualified dead last for both sprint and main races. Last season, when Perez's form spiraled, it's easy to blame mentality, confidence and an aptitude for the role. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Christian Horner, the team principal, warns that being Verstappen's teammate is the hardest job in F1, and so it proves. Yet Lawson hasn't turned into a poor driver overnight, and after all, we got to see equaling the performance of Yuki Tsunoda in the Racing Bulls with a fraction of the experience. Horner felt Lawson's ceiling of talent was higher. Lawson's still got potential, he said. We're not just realising that at the moment. I think the problem for him is he's had a couple of really tough weekends. He's got the media on his back. The pressure just naturally grows in this business. I feel sorry for him. You can see that it's tough on him. He's a young guy. We've got a duty to look after him, and we're going to do the best thing we can for him. Lawson is performing much worse in a car which at its peak is faster. The lies and crooks of the issue. In the wind tunnel in a simulator, the Red Bull car is quick, and there's no doubt, but it's incredibly difficult to drive. Verstappen's a generational talent, one of the best on the grid. The way he likes to set up a car, and therefore the direction which Red Bull has developed to favour, is one with a very strong front end, less stable on entry to corners, and more unpredictable on the back end. The world champion would perhaps beat everyone on the grid in the same car by a couple of tenths. It's not necessarily the car that's been engineered specifically for him, but simply in the development direction where he's able to handle. It's understood Perez also provided very little feedback, which contributed to the issue. Engineers took Verstappen's suggestions. He's been more committed than ever in attempting to understand the issue. Lawson has a good feel for the car and is able to provide accurate feedback. It just does not suit him and gives him little confidence. Even Verstappen has found the previous two Red Bulls difficult to control, peaky and little consistency. At the beginning of 2022, we had quite a stable car, but we had a bit of understeer in it, which obviously Max hates. He had an upgrade in Spain where he put a lot more front into the car, and Max made a big step forward. Checo sort of nosedive from that point on, said Horner. You've got to introduce the quickest car. You've got to be driven by info and the data you have. We don't set out to make a car driver centric. You just got to work on what makes it fastest, and that's obviously served us well, said Horner. Verstappen believes Lawson would drive faster in the Racing Bulls team, which has a slower peak performance but is far easier to handle, is what he said over the weekend. Finding them in a car with the inherent understeer of the Racing Bull is always going to be easier, as well, as Horner admitted. Setup changes can help, as Red Bull attempted to make part firmware changes with Lawson starting from the pit lane twice, but it hasn't worked. So the alarming issue for Red Bull is that nobody seems to have a solution, least of all Horner. Obviously swapping in Tsunoda, it could work, but there's no real evidence that it will work.
Thanks very much for watching.
With Lawson back at Racing Bulls, how many drivers have they been through? It doesn't take rocket science. Maybe something in the Red Bull technical department needs to change, because at the moment it seems like whoever you stick in that second car, and if he's not called Max Verstappen, they're in for a long, hard struggle.